Hey everybody! Thanks for joining me on the next project on the Fix Everything Yourself channel. I've got a bathroom exhaust fan in a small bathroom shared by 3 teenage or young adult boys, and it died a couple of weeks ago and it's time to replace it. First thing I've got to do though is make sure the power is turned off at the fan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave the light on, and go down and flip a circuit breaker, and when that light goes off I'll know that the power's off. Then we'll get into the rest of the project here. Now here's ultimately what we're going to replace this thing with. You can see just by the picture it's similar. It's rectangular in shape. This is something I got from Lowe's, Utilitech ventilation fan. When I was online, I looked at the dimensions of it. It was similar to this one, so hopefully the cutout in the ceiling is similar to what I'm taking out, and that'll make the project a whole lot easier. Okay, got the power off to this unit. You can see the lights off, so it's safe to work on now. I'm going to take this light bulb out. For whatever fan you've got, you just got to figure out what it is that's holding it in place, and I can see that I've got a Phillips head screw right there. And I don't have my Phillips head screwdriver with me at the moment, so I'm just going to use my Swiss Army knife. And yeah, so that's coming down. So you're going to have something like that. You might have clips that just go in and clip around the side of your sheetrock. You're just going to have to play around a little bit and figure out what it is that's holding this outside piece in place. We gotta take this off so we can go see what's behind it. All right, you may or may not be able to see these screws. We've got 2 screws here, one and then 2 screws going this way that are holding these clips that are likely holding the whole thing in place. So I'm gonna remove these, see what that does for us here. But the key is, you gotta get your old one out. And you're not gonna get a new one until you get the old one out. Since I know this whole thing is shot, I'm not gonna use it again. I can just cut that off and get this out of my way. See what we got. We're almost down. Okay, super close to getting this thing down. Pulled it out of the ceiling, got these wires disconnected, and all the wires running into it are attached through this connector that's in here. Okay, that was the last bit of it. All of these wires were coming through that junction box, which was the last thing holding this up. Of course, that was this other way. So just had to disconnect all the wires and then pry this stupid thing out. You can see the duct that I was talking about. This is the exhaust duct. I don't know where that goes. I sure hope it doesn't just go into the attic and stay there. But now on to the next phase. Getting the new one to fit. Let's see how that goes. So the next thing here is measuring the size of this cutout, because the new one's got to go in there. And the manual says 14 3/8 by 8 1/4. And we got 14 1/8. Maybe I'll get lucky and it'll fit anyway, by 8 3/4. So like I said, I guesstimated the size and bought the one that was closest to it online. Now we just got to see if physically the new one fits, or if we have to cut any of this sheetrock out. Okay, well, sadly, this needs to be chopped off a little bit, about a quarter of an inch there. Let's try this one more time. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna fit.
How do you secure it in there?
Back into the ceiling, just to show you what I'm talking about. This is what I've got to go up into the attic to remove. I've got to remove that bracket and the same metal one there. You can see that it's going between frame. We've got steel joists and steel frames in this house. So I've got to go remove those because you can see that those are narrower than the entire cutout, and that was to hold the last fan. We're now at the point where this starts to get unpleasant simply because I've got to go up into the attic to take out the old attachment brackets, which I'll show in just a minute. And then while I'm up there, I'll have a helper who's holding the phone camera right now, put this up into the attic for me. But the way this is going to attach, and right now it's upside down, so I'm going to lift this up, and this is the part where the cover will go, where the light shines down. But these brackets, these attachment brackets, go in these grooves here. And this is so that you can attach, that goes in there. This one goes here. And then when I get it up into the attic, I will stretch these out until they hit the joists in the ceiling, and then attach one to each frame, each joist, and then that's and the same on the other side. The problem is, because we have sheetrock up there, this is not a brand new house that we're building from scratch, these won't fit up through the hole in the sheetrock, so I'm going to have the fan go up, then put those in, and then attach them. So I've got to go up in the attic, remove the old hardware, and then put this up. It comes with this piece of foam for shipping that says remove before installation. I'm sure that's to keep this fan from rattling when it gets banged around in a UPS truck. And here's what we look like in the attic, looking down. I just took the screw out of that end and out of that end, so that's one. And then I'm sitting on top of the other one, so I got to reposition myself, but you can see what I'm doing here. All right, here we are a couple days later, back in the attic, and time to do the finishing details, the important things. I need to connect all these wires from the house to the wires from the box here. Also need to cut the end of this duct here and attach it to the duct there. The duct intake there is a valve that keeps the air from only going out of the house and not back into the vent here, the motor and such. You'll notice that my wires from the house, I've got, in addition to the two grounds, I've got two blacks and two whites. But this is a three-way or a three-unit device, whatever you want to call it here. We've got a fan, an exhaust fan, we've got a heater, and we've got a light. Normally, you would have three black wires for hot to run to each device, but in this case, I've got two blacks and two whites. Well, as long as we know which white is hot, and in this case I do because I took a photograph before I disconnect the wires, and I know which of these white wires was attached to the three whites of the unit, so I know which one is hot. But either way, I'm going to do some wiring here, and then I'll show you the finished product as we go. If you're not comfortable doing wiring, if you don't understand what each wire is doing and where it's going, then of course you'll want to hire someone who does know that, because obviously the wiring is very important and you do not want to burn your house down, or worse. Okay, back in a few. It's been probably 20-30 minutes, don't know how long, but it's very hot up here, so sweating quite a bit. But we'll start with the duct here. The black plastic valve here, you can see the little flapper there. That only allows the air to go one way. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, that goes on some tabs right there that this is going to slide down on, and go in place there. So that's, and you see I just took some heavy duty duct tape and taped the duct onto that black plastic flapper valve. Here's all my wiring. I know, like I said from before, that the white, wherever that white one is that was hot, I've marked it with, it's right here with all this tape on it. I marked it as hot so I knew which one it was. And from looking at the light switch in the house, that just turns on the light, not the fan or the heat. So anyway, I was able to match that up with the wire from the box that goes to the light. And then the only thing I wasn't 100% sure of, it's 50-50 guess, is which one of these two black wires from the house is for the heater and which one is for the exhaust vent. But I didn't tape them. I put the wire nuts on, but I didn't tape them, just to make sure if I need to swap them around, it's easy to do. And you'll see that back here, I've got the little, I forget what this thing's called, but this secures the wire from the house in place when I put this on to the box. So we're basically ready to test this thing out, see if it works, and see if it does what we want it to do. Back in a bit. Here we are, wiring is finished. I'm getting ready to put all this blow-in insulation back over top, and you can probably see this screen material that was there that is meant to create a dome over the box so that when I put the insulation on it, it doesn't actually touch the box that can get hot when somebody has the heater on. So I've been messing with that to try to get it to stay in place. I'm pretty sure this is not the official screening material you use, but it's what was here, and I'm just going to reuse it. And then I'm going to get out of this attic because it's really hot, but I've already tested it. The wiring works. Then the last thing to do is put the cover plate on downstairs and put a light bulb in. Last step is to hook up this, or put this cover shroud on. And to do that, you first have to pull this cover off here and just set that out of the way. It comes with a screw, which is the only thing that holds this in place, is this one screw through the center hole. So I'm going to do here, show you how to install it. I'm going to put the screw in. I'm going to hold my screwdriver in place while I climb up on the ladder. And you can see this connector here that's going off to my right. You can see what this looks like. So this connector here has to plug in first. So I'm going to plug the connector in. And I still have my finger on this screw here. Put my screw, and then you should be able to see it. There's just one screw hole in the middle bracket in this fan assembly, and that's where this one's going. And that's where you got to feel around a little bit. Hopefully you hit it. And then once you hit it, and you can kind of see through these holes here. So there I'm in. I'm just going to screw that in tight until this goes up to the ceiling. And unfortunately, my box hangs down a tiny bit here, so I didn't get this as level as I wanted it, but you can adjust it so it covers the gap. Because this wasn't sitting flush to the ceiling, I just took it out and reoriented it and then screwed it back in, and now all those gaps are gone. And nobody can tell that this thing didn't fit perfectly. The box didn't fit perfectly to the ceiling. Here we are several days later. The project was completed. Kids have been using the bathroom again. It's great. You can see they've got the light on. It works. It turns off, on. Fan works. Everything like that is fantastic. And house hasn't caught on fire, so I'm pretty sure I got everything right. And of course, that's a joke. I know I did. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you. If you've got questions or comments, leave them below. I'll try to get back to you. I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching.